All right, that gives me some silence. Now we fill for a minute. Dirt, 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 dirt.
This is the sound of silence, except it's not.
I really like the disturbed cover of that.
It's very good.
Yes, yes. Have you heard of the cover of Zombie by? I'm trying to remember who did it. Um,
What, the
but I
Cranberry
really
Zombie?
like the cover. Yeah, Cranberry Zombie was covered by somebody else, and I love the Cranberries, but this one, if anything, I may like it even more. I'm trying to remember who did it.
Chris said Bad Wolves.
That sounds correct. It was either that or Gristlebrand.
Apparently it's from 2018, so that's... Huh.
Yeah, it's about right. It's not super new. Just talking about covers, and I'm like, yeah.
I'm not really a fan of covers. I just usually sleep with one small quilt.
See, I usually use a comforter. I don't even bother with sheets, except for like the under sheets. But like the sheet on top doesn't do enough.
Yeah. Not. And if it's cold and I haven't turned the heat on, which was the case up until yesterday, then I will sleep
Hmm.
with two. But I finally turned the heat on yesterday because I got sick of being cold. But by the way, hello, OJam and whatnot. We're doing a Dorks just chatting, so we're just sort of rambling along.
Yeah, we're gonna cover a wide variety of topics, including but not limited to stuff and maybe things
Maybe,
with assorted topics if we have time.
but yeah, I finally got cold. Like I usually just don't. I don't turn the heat on forever, and since Renee hasn't been here, I haven't had a reason to because I don't feel the cold really, unless it's real cold, like it was outside. But in the apartment, it was in like the. I think the lowest it got was like 66, according to the thermostat. Which some people will be like Jesus, but for me, it's glorious. But I finally
Mm.
realized if I'm not sitting directly like right here where I am right now in the office, the rest of the apartment was freaking cold, and I was sitting on the couch under blanket, and I really needed to take a shower, and it was cold, and I didn't want to get naked and wet, and I
Hmm.
realized I don't have to live like this. I can just go flip on the heat, and I won't have these thoughts anymore. And I did, and then I got naked and wet, and then I took a shower. Oh yeah. Anyway, so hello, I'm Chewie. I'm here. Brian's here.
I'm here. Yep.
Mike is here.
I am. I'm here.
Dirk is not here. Dirk had what, like, was it yesterday, day before? I think it was 2 days ago. Dirk was like, "Oh, I got a swim meet, so I won't be there." And we were like, "Okay." Guess it's a good
Here we
thing we
are.
decided to not do the actual topic idea because I was like, let's leave that for a week. Let's do it just chatting first. And then Dirk goes, I can't be there anyway. Like, we still don't know if Dirk. Do we know if Dirk is coaching swimming, or is it one of his kids? Is it a job thing? I don't know.
I don't think he said,
I'm
and
not
if he
clear on that
did, I
point.
don't remember.
I don't think we ever asked. I think the last time that Dirk was like, "I have a swim meet," we were like, "Oh, okay." And then here, probably on the pre-show odds and ends, we were like, "What?" By the
Yeah,
way,
that sounds
speaking of
about
odds and
right.
ends, I'm very sorry that once I got the odds and ends caught up, I immediately stopped posting the odds and ends. Those are being put together and listened through and posted. They're scheduled out for like 2 or 3 a week. I've got half of the missing ones done. The other half will be done in short order. It's just life got really insane. You remember with Renee being in the hospital and then me getting a kidney stone and wishing I was dead.
Hmm.
Yep.
And I just never got back to regular normal life after that. Posting the odds and ends as they come up and whatnot. So my bad. Nobody even pointed it out this time. I just was like, "Oh crap!" Usually someone goes, "Hey Chewie, you're gonna say, oh yeah, I should do that, shouldn't I?" But this time it was all me. I'm so proud of me for not waiting on someone to be like, "Hey stupid." Yeah, my bad. But anyway,
Good job, Chewie.
so yeah, we figured we'd just do just chatting and catch up a bit, shoot the breeze, as it were,
Shoot it.
with laser beams.
Mm-hmm.
So we had our American Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
What last week?
Oh, last week, yeah, a week ago today. Which is why we didn't do anything last week.
I didn't do anything. Renee and I went to have dinner with the parents, where we ate.
I mean, that's still
way
a
too much
thing.
food. And then we left.
Did you have turkey?
Yeah, Mom actually got a small turkey breast and
Nice.
made it with mashy taters and some other stuff. Cranberry sauce out of a can. The best kind of cranberry sauce.
Green bean casserole?
No. Because it was just the four of us. She was like,
Oh,
and then,
sure.
like we'd been done for like an hour, and she goes, "Oh, I forgot stuffing." And we were all like, "Good."
Well, it's just like different people, and I think we talked about this on a previous episode or just chatting. Different people have different expectations, and I went to my sister's, and one of the things that
She's
she
hot.
asked was, "Hey, what do you guys like?" Yes, and one of the things she asked was like, "What dishes do you consider essential to Thanksgiving?" Because on the one hand, she didn't want to make anything if nobody was going to eat it, but on the other hand, she said she'd rather make something if one person thought I have to have it, then she wanted to make sure she had it. So that's why I'm asking. I'm not trying to say, "Oh, you should have had whatever." We had a lot, but we traveled to Sally's. It was hot there, yes, in Vegas, um, and we had turkey and stuffing in the bird and stuffing out of the bird because that's always a thing for Carrie. She wants to do that. And green bean casserole because Sally was like she's the only person in her family that eats it, and I said Sam and I will help you with that. That's not a problem. And like 5 other things, including somebody asked for sweet potatoes, but Carrie doesn't like it with marshmallows and all the sweet stuff. So Sally just made it with, I think, a metric ton of butter, and apparently everyone that ate it thought it was glorious. I do not do sweet potatoes, so I just left it alone. But no, Sally was like, I don't do sweet potatoes either, but she was gonna make this recipe again. So that's why I was asking. And Dad did have his can of cranberry sauce. I don't think anybody else touched it.
That's terrible. It's the best part of Thanksgiving.
I don't know. We had 2 pies and home whipped cream, where just take heavy cream and you whip it up real good. The pies were from Costco, so they were not homemade. But everything else was homemade. So, Mike, what did you guys do?
We actually met with we spent the day with Ashley's family. We met up with her mom, dad, and one of her cousins and her cousin's family at Green Valley Grill. Her cousin's family for a long time had started doing Thanksgiving there. They just go ahead and make their reservations a year in advance each time. And we were able to get in at a table with them, and it was really nice because
So when you say a year in advance, like, do you show up for dinner and then while you're there, make the reservation for next year?
yeah, that's what they do. Mhm.
Cool. Hey, that's a good way. You don't forget.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Nice.
So you've actually got three different flavors of Thanksgiving right here. You have Mike's family going out to the place where that's a tradition. You have my family doing a huge 10-person Thanksgiving, and you have Chewie's family doing kind of an intimate thing at home. Three flavors of Thanksgiving.
And Mom actually made Thanksgiving food this time instead of not. Like, so Thanksgiving was a huge thing in our family. I think we did this on the Thanksgiving episode, but we would always go to
I think
Nana's
we
house
did.
and there would be a billion people coming in and
Yeah.
out, and enough food to kill, a small army. And ever since Nana died, Thanksgiving has just sort of been
Yeah.
we'll just do whatever because it's not the same anymore.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, like, she made spaghetti
Hmm.
or something like that.
Well, I remember for years before Mom and Dad moved down here when it was just Sam, Carrie, and I, it was strictly like, what do we want to have? And most times it was traditional, but it was like basically four dishes. It was turkey stuffing, green bean casserole for Sam and I, and maybe some rolls. And we didn't make anything we wouldn't eat because why would we? And there was at least one year where it was McDonald's because it was going to be too much dang work.
Hmm.
And we were out on Wendover, like picking up something from Michael's, I think. And we're like, are they open? Yes, they're open. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. So, but it's kind of, I don't know. I like your mom's approach of like, if you want Thanksgiving food is great. And if you don't want Thanksgiving food, then it's just your family. Just do whatever, you know?
Exactly.
I like that. I wonder what Dirk did.
Dirk hosted and had a lot of food and a lot of. Did he say a lot of kids? A lot of people? He said
Oh,
a lot
that's
of
right. He
something.
did say he had a lot of kids. And
Yeah.
I could almost swear I heard how tired he sounded through the text.
Right?
I hosted, and it was a lot of food, and it was a lot of kids.
Chifuji said, "Did you all know that KFC is traditional Christmas food for Japan?"
I did
Man, Japan
not.
is weird.
But hey, I say I liked. I haven't had KFC in a while. I loved KFC as a kid. And going to my dad's side of the family, the Baker side, somebody, doesn't matter what the occasion was, somebody was bringing KFC. So I learned to love it. And I tell you, I haven't been in forever, but the potato wedges, their potato wedges are the best fry variant I've ever had,
Hmm.
or one of the best.
Hmm. I'll take your word for that. Uh,
You should.
the KFC in my town kind of sucks. So, speaking from a DoorDash perspective, like I I've had to just stand there and wait because there's only two, maybe three people working so many times that I just don't eat there.
Hmm. Okay.
I hate it here. Um,
Before we move on to another topic, this is not having to do with Thanksgiving, but at the beginning, while we were kind of getting ready, we were talking about song covers, and somebody in the chat, I think it's Chifuji, just brought up the general idea of like, what are covers that you like of songs that may that may surpass the original? And I had in my head, I wanted to come back to it, but we were talking about other stuff. Um, Careless Whisper, the cover by Seether. I cannot stand the original anymore.
Oh,
I cannot stand the original. After I heard Seether, I'm like, yes. Now
I
I'm sure
like
somebody else
I like that
loves
cover,
what's that?
but I still prefer the original for the cheesy sax. But I do really like that cover too.
Hmm. You know
I
what they
forgot
need
about
to make
that.
it.
That one's good too.
Yeah. Um, and then oh, what is it?
I don't know, man.
Boys of Summer. The remake of Boys of Summer. It's pretty good. I'm trying to remember who did that.
Oh, the Ataris
Yes.
Yes,
covering the was that the Eagles or Don Henley?
I think that was.
Son. Is that Don Henley or Brian Adams? Why am
That
I?
was not Brian Adams.
I don't think it would be Brian
That was Summer
Adams.
of '69.
Okay, yes, Don Henley then.
Then it was Don Henley. Yeah, not as part of the Eagles.
Boys of Summer, Summer of '69. Boys in the Summer, going '69. So
Hot.
yep.
Now I gotta put the explicit tag on this episode. Uh,
You're welcome.
yeah, I am. Um, I don't know. That's not a sort of thing that I can just come up with stuff. I'd have to think about it.
Okay. Well, something else I wanted to ask you guys and the chat about, and I
Oh
started
Lord.
to talk to. What's that?
I said, oh Lord.
So Chewie does not have any kids that he's aware of. Mike doesn't have any kids.
That we're aware of.
Maybe I don't know about parents in chat, but thinking about when it's time to show stuff to your kids, and this can cover a whole range of stuff. Like, for example, when do you want to teach them magic if you still play that game, or show them the things that you enjoy? Because I guarantee you, at some point, if you have a kid, you're like, oh great, I loved XYZ. Maybe it's a favorite band or a favorite book. I could not wait to show Sam The Dark is Rising sequence by Susan Cooper. um but when is it time to do some of that sort of stuff? And I think it's subjective, sure, but some of it is maybe less subjective. Like, maybe don't show your kids. I, I don't know.
Hardcore pornography.
That I wasn't gonna jump that far. I was gonna say Temple of Doom, like when they're two. But yeah, sure, hardcore porn. Um, and the reason I bring this up is, again, I've had this debate for all sorts of stuff, like when is it, violence and things like that with Sam, and um, back in COVID during lockdown, we went through all the Marvel movies at the time, which went through Endgame, and so a lot of that, I mean, you talk about action, decent amount of swearing here and there, and we're not talking about like Wolf of Wall Street swearing, but words get used. So, stuff like that. And when we were over at Sally's for Thanksgiving, we were all kind of throwing around things to watch when her kids, who are 5 and 2, were
Mm-hmm.
in bed, so nothing for them. And I brought up, because I had Netflix, I brought up The Sandman because Chewie had loved that for a long time, and I know you were excited when it came out for Netflix, and they did a very good job with it. And I watched it, and I don't know anything about the source material, and I loved it, and Carrie really enjoyed it. So I said, I think you guys would really like that. And then one night we decided to go ahead and start it, and Mom couldn't follow it for more than 5 minutes, which is funny to me because she watches documentaries and stuff. I don't know if it was the dialogue. Jimmy is absolutely hooked, and Sam was there, and we thought it would be okay. And we've continued watching it with her since we've gotten home. Decent amount of swear words, and we're only a couple episodes in, but people have exploded, like their insides come to the outside. So I'm kind of feeling like I think she can handle this. She's 14. But
Yeah.
it's probably one of the more graphic things that I've shown her. Um, so I was just curious. Plus, we are now on season 2 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was one of my all-time favorite shows. But the central premise is a girl that goes around thrusting stakes into people, and even if oh, they're vampires or whatever, a kid might have trouble processing that, especially if they don't distinguish the bad guy actors from people. You know what I mean? So, but we started that a couple months ago, and she's been absolutely fine. I think we were fine. Um, yes, my child is 14. That makes me feel very, very, very old, but she got here one day at a time. Um, the same Sam that would do the Sam quizzes. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a bit of a tangent. So, but I was curious, like, what are things that you think? I know you don't have kids, but what are things you think would be appropriate for a young teen, and what do you think is maybe a little too far?
Hardcore pornography.
I remember uh, Gabe telling me that he saw Rambo quite a bit earlier than he should have, and one thing that he remembered was Rambo sneaking around and sneaking up behind some guy and grabbing his head and snapping his neck, and the guy's dead. Bam. Um, well, Gabe had done something to hurt himself. He did that a lot. And so there
Really?
was, yeah, so there was something up with his neck, and his parents took him to a chiropractor. So the he's taking a look at him, and the chiropractor grabbed Gabe's head and popped his neck, and Gabe started freaking
Oh,
out. Little Gabe
oh,
started
oh
freaking.
no. Oh no, that's terrible. Oh. Mm. Well, I guess maybe that's an interesting because again, I'm not trying to harp on this. I know you guys don't have kids,
Mhm.
and if you have an opinion about it, I want to know. But maybe that's a good subtopic is what did you see before you were really ready for it? Or inversely, like what did you kind of hype up in your mind? Like say you were always heard about the first Exorcist movie and you were like, "Oh my God." And then when you saw it, it was kind of almost, "Wait, really?" Um I mentioned Temple of Doom. I saw Temple of Doom at a sleepover when I was pretty young, and the whole, the heart out of the body thing, and then, them people then being like burned alive kind of got to me as a bit. So that was probably it for me was Temple of Doom. I think Temple of Doom was one of the last movies they made before they instituted like PG-13. So,
Oh, according to Chad,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Hmm? Aha! Yeah, there we go. Uh, that is, yeah, I believe that's correct. So,
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
Temple of Doom I also must have seen on like TV or something too soon
Yeah,
because
me
that
too.
because it came out in '84,
Hmm.
which means I was 3 for that year.
Hmm.
So I probably saw it somewhere between like 6 and 10 on television or something. So yeah, that was probably a bit soon for that. But like at 14, like I was playing Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Like I think by the time I was Sam's age, just nothing phased me anymore.
I
Uh,
got you.
like I still didn't do. I mean, I still don't do at this point. Gory horror movies or anything like that. But that was more because I
Hardcore
didn't.
torture porn.
Exactly, yeah. But that's more of a taste
Isn't that?
thing. Like I just don't.
Yeah,
I just don't like it.
yeah.
Yeah. Just not
I've
appealing.
So
never seen I've never seen Saw, but Saw has always been described to me as torture porn, and I'm just like,
I mean, past the first
then
one, yeah.
then no. Yeah.
The uh, the first one is a pretty solid psychological horror movie, like psychological thriller. And then
Yeah.
from there, they sort of ignored all the good storytelling and just went for the traps. Oh fuck. Oh, can't
They
say
they
that.
learned the
Oh,
wrong they learned the wrong lesson.
yeah, Hollywood as usual. Hollywood does that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure by the time I was, let's see, 14 would have been 94. Mortal Kombat game. When did Mortal Kombat come out? No, not the most recent one called Mortal Kombat 1. Jesus. Mortal Kombat release date 92.
Hmm.
Okay,
92.
which means by 94 it was 94 95, like it was on home consoles and whatnot. Like I got the Genesis version because it had blood.
Yeah, the Nintendo one didn't have blood. It had like Kool-Aid or something.
Well,
No,
yeah,
it was sweat,
yeah.
but there
They
was a code to
changed it
turn it
to
red.
gray and altered some of the fatalities on the original
Hmm.
so that they were stupid. But like, I don't know. I think yeah, like I said, by the time I was Sam's age, like I was watching, the R-rated action movies because I could handle it. It wasn't a problem. I don't know. My parents usually like just gave me sort of free reign. Just because I think their thinking was if I can't handle it, then I'll let them know, and I'll have nightmares and something, and they'll be like, "Well, don't do that anymore," and I'll be like, "Yeah," but that was never really an issue for me until The Grudge when I was in college.
Ooh, The Ring. But I'm sure I've told the story not just about me with The Ring, where I was like, yeah, that kind of freaked me out, but where my brother tricked my mom into going to see it because he told her it was a romantic comedy. Like, oh, it's The Ring, like a wedding ring. She still has not completely forgiven him for that. It's a joke, but it's a ha ha ha, don't turn your back kind of joke.
See
And
now
then they
Spoiler
sent
alert,
me
that's
off to
funny.
the Marine Corps.
not a coincidence. Yeah. Yeah. The Grudge 2 I saw while I was in college without even seeing the first one first. And The Grudge 2 is pretty whack, yo.
Like I don't remember much bothering me. Like language was never a problem because the old man just was a trucker. He just swears, and so it just never. It was never a thing. Oh, like Brian is completely different because like Sam's here. Could you please try not to swear? I'm like, why? But
Yeah, growing
Yeah,
up in my household, shut up was like if you said shut up, you were getting your mouth washed. Like that was swearing.
yeah,
So
that's
that
how
set the
straight laced
bar.
my parents were too. They
Yep.
they they never even talk like that. Like one time, my brother told me he heard Dad like use the word shit in like some offhand comment, but that's like that's it. That's all I've ever. I didn't even hear it myself, and that's all I've ever heard from either of my parents.
Now, in
Thomas is a
recent years,
snitch.
now that we've all grown up, times have changed. Again, just saw them for Thanksgiving, but that was the atmosphere I growing up in my parents' household. So, yeah. So that's a very subjective, I think, for each family.
Yeah, yeah. Language was right out in our household growing up, but for things bothering me, I feel like it was more like
Oh,
what?
sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say I thought of something else I saw when I was too young, which was, and this is not
Yeah.
on the violence thing. It was the movie Species. Dad rented it because it's a movie about aliens. Um, it is technically a movie about aliens, but it's just an excuse to get that actress to take off her top as much as possible. And however old I was at the time, I was like, this is the best movie ever. And Dad, I think, kind of let us finish watching it because I think it would have drawn more attention to it if he hadn't, and then took it back. What were you gonna say, Mike?
um, Yeah, the things that really bothered me, it was mostly when I was, just a little kid, and it was stuff that I didn't really get, but I guess not understanding something kind of cuts both ways. There's been some mentions in the chat about Batman. The Tim Burton Batman, we had that on videotape in our house, and Thomas and I watched it when we were fairly young. But it wasn't until we were like teenagers that we would watch it again and was like, oh, geez, this is dark. Why were we watching this when we were
I
little
agree with you.
kids?
I think there's a lot of
Uh-huh.
stuff that goes over kids' heads. I
Yeah.
think some of it just depends.
Yeah.
Like a special effect might do one thing, and like when the Joker, buzzes the guy to death, it's kind of you get what's going on, but it's also done in such a way that it cuts away. It's not super realistic.
Yeah. And
Um,
thankfully, the shot of the guy that shows the aftermath is very short.
it's very short. Whereas something like to draw a distinction between violence and sex, naked bodies are depending on how much you show, that's immediately going to catch a kid's attention unless they grow up in an environment where that's normal.
Yeah. There was
And
also
if your
mention.
family is walking around the house naked all the time,
Yeah.
mm, after a certain age, yeah.
Yeah,
I
but in the other way of
Go
little
ahead.
kids not understanding stuff, there was also mention in the chat of the Adam West Batman, and I remember I I don't even know if I was school age yet, but I had seen uh, there was some station that played reruns of the old Adam West Batman, and I watched them when I remembered to, but I was a little kid, so little kids don't remember nothing. But
Mhm.
when I remembered, I watched it. And there was one episode where one of the villains, can't remember who, probably the Joker, there was this there was a scene where he passed out balloons to everyone in the room, and but when the balloons popped, they had a gas in them that would freeze everyone, and then the bad guys would go and rob everyone while they were frozen. And for a period of time, I was really paranoid about popping balloons, or like hearing balloons pop or being near a balloon that popped, because I was afraid of getting frozen, because I didn't understand that it was a villainously prepared balloon that that was being popped. I just thought it was something about balloons popping.
That's pretty funny. Ow. Oh, Odinson's in the chat. Hey, buddy. He said, by age 7 and 5, my younger brother and me had seen Spaceballs at least 1,000 times. One day, my mom received a phone call from my brother's kindergarten teacher. He was calling people assholes.
I'm surrounded by
Surrounded
assholes.
by assholes.
And again, kids are not going to pick up on that sort of thing.
Oh, that's great.
Lance said, "Hot take: I'd rather have kids watch a sex scene than a violent one." And I think it depends on the extremity of either. Like if it's a tame sex scene, and I'm thinking
Yeah,
one where it's like
if
fade
it's
to
a
black or
love
whatever,
scene, yeah,
then that's one thing. If it's like,
Hardcore
ooh,
pornography.
then that's different because young minds are not really that's not healthy. And again, violence, we see violence in kids cartoons and stuff all the time versus, you know, Sin City or Kill Bill. So yeah, definitely depends. But I do agree. I do think that we get really caught up in puritanical values in America and like, oh, human body and da da da. And I don't think we should be ashamed of it, but what's the intent behind everything? So
yeah. And
surrounded by
violence
us.
used to
I'm gonna
be
go watch Space Jam now. Go ahead.
What?
or maybe even Spaceballs. Um, Violence
Oh
used to be
dang!
treated more
I'm sorry. Go
more
ahead. Go ahead.
strictly. Yeah, I mean, there's never a bad time to watch Space Jam, but I think it was Enter the Dragon, where a shot had to be toned down to avoid an X rating for violence. I think
Hmm.
there was a fight in an ice house, and there's a shot. the original shot was like Bruce throws a saw that like flies across the room, like lodges in someone's forehead, and he drops dead. They had to cut that shot because the ratings board was going to give it an X for excessive violence.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
On another, kind of going back a little bit, this is both sex and violence. Going back to things you watched before you're supposed to. Jimmy, when he was definitely not a teenager yet, picked out an animated feature at Blockbuster and brought it home. And he and I were watching it at home. And once I realized what was going on, I really should have stopped it, but I didn't. And then when Dad came in and saw what it was, I got a severe talking to because I'm the older one and I should have known better. It was Spawn, the animated series.
Yeah.
Nice.
And yeah, and it contained both of those categories in rather gratuitous
And
amounts,
lots of
especially,
it.
again, for a preteen. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Spawn animated series started in 97. So depending on when, I was either 16 or 17. I used to watch that because it was on HBO
Okay.
on Friday nights at like 11, I want to say. And I used to watch that because Friday nights is when the old man came home from a trip. So, and I didn't have HBO in my room. So I would watch Spawn the animated series in Mom's bedroom with Mom because Mom wanted to watch it too. And the first episode, there are animated titties. And I was just like, and then later, there's animated like lap dancing. And I was like,
The scene that my dad came in on, a man is, I guess he was, he, who's the main character? I know Spawn, but what was his real name?
Al.
Al. Al's best friend or whatever is having sex while reliving in his mind how he betrayed and killed Al.
Oh,
And
yeah, that's the
continuing to
first
flash
episode,
back
too.
and forth. Yeah, and then it cuts to like a female on an escalator being sexually molested. And at that point, Dad was like, "I'm sorry, what do you think you're watching?" And I'm like, "Yeah, my bad." Except it was probably more groveling because that was all one episode. That was a long episode.
No, it just
Way
packed in
more.
all of the. I think they
Way,
really wanted
yeah.
to set the tone with the first episode and like.
Oh sure, they wanted to be like, this is what we're about.
Yeah, like we
Way
are not a
more
kids show, and no, they were not. But Mom and I watched the
more
entire first season as it happened, and yeah,
way more intense than the live action, which you'd usually think, oh well, but you can illustrate a lot of things you can't necessarily portray, especially like 20 years ago in real life. And
well, that and the live action movie was dumbed down
probably,
to PG to get more audience, like on purpose.
oh sure.
Whereas the HBO show, much like HBO shows today, they can do whatever the hell they want.
Jimmy really liked Spawn, and somebody in chat mentioned that he was peak early edgelord, and yeah, Jimmy was so into him that I knew the one way I could get under his skin was he was particularly annoying me. He was telling me how great Spawn was, and I looked him dead in the eye, and I said that Spawn was just a goth Power Ranger, and he got so upset. It was glorious.
That is amazing.
Nobody knows how to needle you like a brother or a sister. I'm glad Sally doesn't listen to this.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, yeah, I mean, he loved it, and it was this surefire way for me to be like, ha ha ha. So, yeah. I saw Howard the Duck when I was a kid, but I did not
Why?
really understand what that woman was trying to do with that duck or why it was kind of gross. And that's one of those things that when you look back, kind of like Mike was saying earlier about how ignorance kind of cuts both ways or innocence.
Hmm.
Later, I watched part of it and I'm like, wow, she's actually like trying to take him. Whoa, we. Oh, oh. No wonder Disney hasn't really wanted to do anything with the IP other than like cameos,
Howard the
because it
Duck
will
came on
remind
TV
people.
one time. Yeah, it came on TV one time when I was a kid. It was like Saturday afternoon or something, and I was still sitting in the living room. Um, Started watching
And
it,
you're
and
probably like, "Oh, look, a duck." Yeah,
yeah,
go
look
ahead.
a duck. Oh, look, it's there's space and whatever. And it went on, and man, it was boring. And at one point, Mom came in, I think during one of those scenes with Howard and the lady. She's like, "What are you watching? Turn that off." And I'm like, "Okay, sure," because it was just boring. And yeah, I didn't get it either. What was all of what was going on?
It was not a good movie. I've never seen the B movie. Chifuji is mentioning the B movie in chat. I don't get. I've heard of it. Isn't that the one where like Jerry Seinfeld voices a bee or something? But I've never seen it.
It's
I've
really
heard it's one of the
amazing
worst animated movies ever.
the difference between the shared experiences of people who live on the internet and people that don't. Because if you
Is
spend
this
any
an
amount of
internet
time on
thing?
the internet, you know about the B movie, whether you've seen it or not. And for Brian to be like, "Is that the one with Jerry Seinfeld?" I'm just like, "Really?
Yeah. Do I have the wrong actor?
What? No, no, that's definitely the right one. It's just the fact that you had to ask, like you don't just know that
Hmm.
because of the internet. Because the B movie is has been a meme on the internet for like way more than it deserves to forever. But you know, a, a, a bee and a human lady fall in love or something.
Wait, that is that the what?
Huh.
But he's a bee. Like at least the duck is almost her size.
Don't think
A
about it too
bee.
hard. Your brain will come out your nose.
I'm trying not to. You know how much I don't like bees. Plus, everything else about this. I did see we can move on to another topic if you guys have other things to talk about. But I guess the last one I'll mention is I saw The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, and the effects on that were fantastic, especially for the time. And it severely sickened me. Like, and I should have
Well,
turned it
yeah.
off. But maybe some part of me, even not being like a cinephile or whatever, was like, "Oh, this is great." While I feel like I'm going to hurl as his body, like, yeah, yeah. So it was really impressive, and I don't know when I saw it, and I may not have been necessarily too young, but I was probably not mature enough because, ugh,
Are you still?
maybe I
Or
don't.
are you
Maybe I need to
yet?
watch it again and I can handle it.
I've never seen it because the whole body horror
Me
thing
neither.
doesn't interest me either, and that's the only thing that anyone ever talks about with Cronenberg is body horror. I'm like, I'm good, thanks.
Then maybe I need to have you guys over and we'll watch it together.
Yeah, with Sam.
Uh, I'm I mean, she might do the best out of all of us. I have found watching stuff with her, like, not a whole lot phases her, so at least not that she admits to. I remember showing her um, The Force Awakens shortly after it came out and after I had a chance to watch it myself. And she was young enough that I had the whole, okay, Harrison Ford is a man, Han Solo is a character, kind of getting her set up for that. And it happened, and she's like, "Okay, cool." And I'm like, "You good?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I'm like, "All right, great." So she's that sort of stuff doesn't seem to phase her, which is a good thing.
I know I've brought this up before, but I believe that we're coddling children too much these days as far as their entertainment goes. Like all of the kids'
Right.
films these days are so sanitized. Like I really do believe that like watching things that are somewhat, shocking or disturbing in like a safe way, uh like The Secret of Nim or
Mm-hmm.
The Never Ending Story, or Tax,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
like
wolf
there's no trauma
freaked me
in
out.
for kids anymore. And I'm not saying that just because I like tormenting children. That too, but I
Just
really think
yeah,
it helps like young minds learn to deal with stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. There's plenty of scary elements in something like the old Wizard of Oz movie, you know.
Yeah.
But
My old
it's
man, excuse me, my old man still
mhm,
talks about how when the monkeys tear Scarecrow all up,
mhm.
that when he was a kid in the theater, he like ran out crying.
Oh, I've heard from people that the monkeys in particular are like really strike a chord, but not in a good way. Like the monkeys are a thing for some people. Like Wicked Witch, okay, wizard floating head, whatever. But the monkeys, some people like that's a thing. That's like a trauma thing.
Yeah, like for
So
me and with Return to Oz, it was the wheelies.
Oh, mhm.
I never saw Return to Oz
Dude, it's on Disney Plus. You should watch Return to Oz. It is so weird.
for something called the Wheelies.
Yeah, it's good. It's well worth watching. I think
Okay.
we I think we borrowed it from the library a few times back in the day.
But it is when I got Disney Plus, it's the first thing I watched was Return to Oz. And the second thing I watched, I'm pretty sure, was 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, nice.
Disney classics.
We flew Delta to Las Vegas to see my sister for Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
and they had the movies streaming on there, and they actually have it so that there's a screen on the back of the chair in front of you, so you can just plug in headphones and it plays. And so Carrie, I don't think watched anything, but Sam watched a couple things. She would watch movies she'd already seen, fast forward to the part she wanted to see, and then take off to something else, which would drive me insane if I was trying to watch it with her. Like she was watching part of the Harry Potter films, which she's seen all the Harry Potter films multiple times, but she watched Prisoner of Azkaban like 2/3 of the way through, and then she turned to something else, and I asked her about it later, and she's like, "Oh, I remember what happens after that." I'm like, "You have the whole film memorized. What do you mean you remember after that?" But so it was funny. I mean, I only thought about this because 10 Things I Hate About You was one of the films that was on there, and I was tempted to do it. But they had movies and they had a couple very select TV shows, including the first five episodes of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So that's what I did on the way, part of the way to Las Vegas was those episodes, and
Mhm.
then I got most of the way through the original Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser. And then we were landing. And then I watched on the way back Beetlejuice, which I liked the movie for about I, if every movie is like has 3 acts, I liked this one for like the first. Okay, I'm trying to quantify too much. I liked it up until the last 15 minutes, and I was like, really? But it was enjoyable.
Hmm.
Have you guys seen Beetlejuice?
Not yet.
Haven't yet.
It's all right.
I think it's streaming somewhere now, so I can watch it. I didn't care enough to go see it in the theater.
I read an article lately that was talking about, you know how Moana 2 just broke all sorts of records. I read an article that talked about how short films are in the theater now. And keep in mind, I worked in movie theaters as 16-year-old through like 21. So, we're talking about a while ago, but for several summers as well. And they're saying that now the average length of time for a movie to be in theaters is between 30 and 32 days. And that's crazy to me because most
Hmm.
movies back in the day would be at least 90 days, and those would be some of the ones that weren't even doing as well. Maybe the shortest would be like 60 days. If you were in the theater for less than 2 months, you were not doing well. But the other thing is, the movie would come out, and then there'd be a period of time before it would be released to home video,
VHS.
DVD, VHS, DVD, even Blu-ray, and now
Dude,
some stuff is streaming before it's left the theaters,
Jurassic
depending on
Park
how long
took
it's there.
so long to come out on
Yeah,
VHS.
it did. Titanic took a while, but part of that I think was they were waiting to see which Oscars it won, so that it could then put them on the box, because physical boxes, physical media,
But I
and
mean,
now
the bigger
it's
movies back then always took forever.
yeah, oh
And there
yeah,
were very few movies bigger than Jurassic Park at the time, so
yeah,
seems like
and
it
and
took like a full year.
I think it probably was, and part of that was to build hype.
Okay, it came out in June of 93. Home video release date. Uh 2018. No.
Took a long, long time.
VHS, it was October 94.
Huh.
So it was a year and a third to come out on home video. Chifuji asked, "Do you all remember back when VHS was rental only, and to buy a copy of a movie was $100 or more?" No, but I'm sure at that point I was, too young to have thought about money.
Yeah, I have no idea how much buying movies cost when I was a kid.
Yeah, the old man used to rent them from the video store and uh, record them onto tapes, and then so he could take them on the up the road on a trip and watch them because he had a
Hmm.
little TV VCR combo in the truck that plugged into the cigarette lighter.
Oh, neat.
So he would watch movies that way. I probably still have a whole mess of those in that closet right there. Jurassic Park we bought, Batman we bought.
Hmm.
Like most of them, they just had like I. That's how I found Star Wars. They were just uh 3 boxes there. One said Star Wars, one said The Empire Strikes Back, one said Return of the Jedi. And I was like, "Hey mom, what's this?" She said, "Watch them in this order. You'll love it." I was like, "Okay, mom." She was right. Brian had to BRB. So hey, Mike, when are you gonna let
Yeah.
your kids watch hardcore pornography? I mean, violent movies.
Uh, I'll just have to. I'll just have to try to think back around when I saw stuff and just do as much reading ahead about stuff as I can beforehand, so I don't get into some awkward situations like we described earlier. But yeah, it's just gonna come up. I was thinking again about the just being scared or disturbed, but in a safe way that um, a kid can work through. And the number one example that always comes to my head is the original illustrated versions of scary stories to tell in the dark.
Buh.
Yeah. Just thinking about some of those, like, why would you draw this? Like, how did you sit over your easel and finish this? What is wrong with you? But it's great imagery. It's amazing imagery. But
Yeah.
man,
I can
why?
still see a bunch of those.
Uh-huh.
Because I had the first 2 books.
Yeah, I think I had all 3.
When I was a kid. I don't know what happened to them, because I don't have them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But, which is a shame. But there was one piece of art in there that always got to me, and it was the art from the story The Thing.
Yeah. There was a conversation that we were having on the show. I think it was when we were talking about the fears, and someone mentioned, I don't know, like that, like you get a thought in your head and you can't get rid of it, and for some reason that caused that image to pop into my head, and like I think I made a comment about I just thought of something. And you guys are like, what is it? I'm like, well, no, you guys know it, and I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to subject you to it. Oh, jeez, what the hell, Chewie? What is wrong with you? Fuck.
Meanwhile, I just subjected Mike to it.
God damn it.
But yeah, that piece of art, I could not read that story, and I would have to like flip past it real quick so I didn't stop to look at it. Now, I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. It's really cool actually. But when I was a kid, this one got to me, and I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. It's freaky. It's really freaky.
Yeah, but like all of the art in there was freaky. Why did that one get? Why did the one with the spiders bursting out of the thing on the girl's face not bother me? It didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was creepy, but less so than others. Yeah.
Can't wait for Brian to get back and see that. Yeah.
Hey,
Well-
sorry about that. Carrie is sick, and I'm sorry. There's what? There's
And Brian found the
There's
artwork in the chat.
what is that from?
Scary
The
stories.
scary
That's from-
stories to tell in the dark.
That's not from like the Stephen King The Thing.
No.
That's okay. Well, Carrie's sick. She's been sick for a couple days now, and it's just a really bad cold. But I don't think she's gonna be able to stay up with Sam too much longer while she finishes her homework. So
Mm-hmm.
I may have to go in just a minute. But yeah. I don't know that I ever read scary stories to tell in the dark. I watched Are You Afraid of the Dark on Nickelodeon, thinking about some of those did not coddle kids. And there was the episode that was the Nosferatu film episode like I did not go to sleep that night. I just kept thinking the silent vampire was going to just walk through the door. I was never scared of like Chucky as a kid because I'm like it's a doll. Later
Mhm.
as an adult, I get it's not the fact that he's a doll, it's the fact that he just can't be stopped. He's essentially like the Terminator with red hair. That's the creepy part.
Yeah.
That's what they called me in high school.
the Terminator with red hair. I can see that. Um, but the whole, this thing moving silently, if anything, to me, that just made it scarier. So, anyway. Well, I think that's the perfect note for me to end on. You guys can. I'm not the boss of you. You can keep going for as long as you want. I'm gonna go relieve my sick wife. Gentlemen, honestly, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I know scheduling has been difficult lately, and look, Dirk's not even here. He's swimming, or he's watching someone else swim, or something. We'll have to get more information about that later. But it's been honestly refreshing and good to talk to you guys. It's been great to talk to people in chat. Hope everyone is doing well in these uncertain times ahead of us. But yeah, everybody have a good night or good day wherever you are, and be safe and love each other safely and not in a hardcore porn way, unless you have consent.
Also in a hardcore porn way.
Good night.
All right, night B. Well, there goes Brian. I wonder why. This is something I need to actually ask him at some point. Like, why does someone have to be in the room with Sam when she's doing her homework?
I don't know. I mean,
Speaking of strange parenting decisions, which is what we've been talking about this whole time.
Making sure she's staying on task or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
I wouldn't have done my homework.
Yeah, but you weren't a good kid. Sam's a good kid.
I was a good kid in school, except for my homework.
Oh, okay.
I
Anyway,
mean, I was a good
sorry,
kid
Renee
too,
just
but I
wandered
was also very distractible.
I got ADD out my asshole. I needed somebody to keep me out of.
So, hey, Mike, I started a new game.
Is that the one you're talking about, Tunic?
Yeah.
What's it like?
So Tunic is it's a weird animal. Well, it's a fox. So you play as a little fox. It's sort of it's not top down exactly. It's an isometric, perspective. I mean, if anyone watching the video version, if you look at the background of the stream here, that is a screenshot from Tunic. It's just a little cave area with a treasure chest. It's nice. But you're a little fox, and it's a weird mix of like Zelda and Dark Souls. Because you've got, health, mana, and stamina. And your stamina meter is very important because you also have a dodge roll. Now, this is Dark Souls. You've got a dodge roll, a stamina meter, and when you press a button to do a thing, you are locked into that animation. Like, this isn't like, Legend of Zelda where you can stutter swing your sword. If you press the swing sword button, you're swinging the sword and doing the entire animation before you can do anything else.
Got it.
But it's adorable, but it's also part of this new relatively recent, last 4 or 5 years trend in indie games where you're learning, like, part of the point of the game is learning how to play the game, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Like, okay, that's not what I mean exactly. Like, the point of the game is to gain knowledge. So, like, in this case, the various collectibles that you're picking up scattered around the world are pieces of the manual that you would have gotten with the game, back in the Nintendo, Super Nintendo era.
Okay.
And that teaches you new things. Like, I haven't found the manual page that explains it yet, but I got an achievement for performing a special technique. And I noticed while I was pressing the dodge button and my dude attacked. Like, he did a dodge roll and then an attack. And I was like, I didn't do that. And the achievement popped. And it was like, successfully performed a special technique or something. And I was like, what? And I've not been able to replicate it. I think it's got something to do with the timing of when the enemy flashes, because when enemies are about to attack, they do a little blink.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't been able to figure it out yet, and it's part of the game. And I'm sure the manual will be like, oh, this is how you do that. But a bunch of the manuals in are a language that you can't read.
Okay.
So you've got to piece things together from the manual, and it's really cool. Like, I learned how to up my stats, which is the thing. If I'd known how to do it, I could have done it from the very beginning, but I didn't know that, and I almost stumbled into it accidentally once. I noticed when I opened up the menu, there was a thing there that said next and had an amount of money, and I was like, and it was right after I died, and I went, oh, does that? I wonder what that's about. But later, when I opened up the menu, that wasn't there anymore, and I went, I don't know what that was. It turns out it did that because I was standing in front of the thing where you can up your stats, and that's how much it cost. But I didn't put that together at the time. I thought it was some other random nonsense. So it's one of those things I was like, oh. And then later, it taught me if you do this, then this happens. When I found a manual page, and I was like, oh. And then you have Casey has played this game, as in Megan and Casey, my favorite lesbians, and Casey was like, or Megan, one of them in the chat, the text chat that I have with the two of them, said like this game should be called, oh, I could have done that this whole time. And it's really entertaining because the world isn't like super huge. Well, I think it is, but the world I have access to at the moment isn't super huge, so I've had to backtrack to a bunch of places, but it's, like 30 seconds to a minute and a half to get from where I am to where I want to be. So like whatever. But it's really cool when I learn a new thing. I go, wait a minute. I saw a thing like this over there, and then I make my way back over there and do the thing, and something happens. I'm like, oh.
I really like that concept. The wait, what? Oh, not just for remembering something you saw in another area, but also the wait, what happened? How did I do that? And then only later learning it. Like it's neat to know that it's not all locked behind progression flags that are tripped when you pick up that specific piece of the manual.
Yeah, like I said, before it taught me how to up my stats, I stumbled into it and didn't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally could have done that at the time, and I would have felt very smart and very smug for figuring that out. But I didn't. But I have slowly started to put things together, like when it taught me how to do this thing at these things on the map. I was like, wait a minute, I wonder if that'll work at these other things too. And it did, and I was like, oh.
Cool.
I feel clever. You leaving?
Mm-hmm.
You coming back?
Hope so.
Okay. I love you. But yeah, that Tunic and what's the other one? Not Outer Worlds, the Outer Wilds. Outer Wilds is another game where the whole point is knowledge. I already know more about Outer Wilds than I wish I did.
Mm-hmm.
But you learn relatively well. You learn about 22 minutes into playing that it's a time loop game.
Okay.
And possibly you learn faster than that, I guess, if you die. But you're in this little solar system, and I think it's 22 minutes. At some point, the sun goes nova, and everything dies. And then you wake up back at the beginning of the game. And the whole point of the game is to explore things and learn things and until something.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, the term I keep seeing people throw around is Metroidbrainia, and that makes me want to punch people. because, you know, it's a Metroidvania, but instead of unlocking new abilities, you unlock new knowledge. So I get why they call it that, but that's stupid. Stop that.
Yeah.
I kind of wish we could move away from Metroidvania, personally, but it looks like that one's here to stay. Because nobody can agree on what to call it. One, I've seen people say, like, exploratory action, and I'm like, that sounds like a medical procedure.
It's an adventure game, right?
But see, adventure game
that
means
too
different things
broad?
to different people.
Uh-huh.
Like, to me, Legend of Zelda is an adventure game. To other people, Shadowgate is an adventure game, because point-and-click adventure games were just called adventure games on PC.
Yeah.
You know, like King's Quest is an adventure game. And there's nothing the same of King's Quest and Legend of Zelda. And if you want to get really technical, every game is an adventure game. Oh God, shut up. Every game's a role-playing game too. Dying of Fire. So I've had this rant many times. Video game genres don't make any sense.
I get it. And action adventure doesn't really
Yeah.
do the whole job either, but yeah, I get it. Okay.
So yeah. So Tunic is a isometric Zelda-like, Souls-like Metroidvania, and I hate most of those terms. But yeah, I started that a few days ago. I've done two streams of it now, and I am hooked. It is so, like, adorable. And I got stick, and I was whacking people with stick, and I discovered a path that I don't think I was supposed to discover yet. And so I found myself trying to whack knights in armor with swords and sometimes shields with a stick, and it took like 8 or 10 hits. And then later I found sword, and now they go down in 4 hits, and I was like, oh. And then I found out how to up my stats, and now they go down in 2 hits. I'm like, oh.
Nice.
But it's so good. Like, I really am enjoying it. And I'm just wandering around. I think this really is like setting me up to eventually play Dark Souls, because it really is inspired by the Souls games. Like wandering around a place and getting very far away, and then finding a place where you can save and restore your health and your Estus flasks. Essentially, you have potions in Tunic that when you in Souls it's rested a bonfire. In this, I call it like saying hi to mom, because there's this big fox like goddess statue, and I just call her mom. Hi, mom. You know. By the way, my fox's name is Frederico.
Oh, great.
That's what I named him. Because you want to know why? You don't want to know why, Mike, but I'm going to tell you anyway, because you're going to hate me.
Let's have it.
Because I started rolling, dodge rolling, just everywhere. And inevitably, when someone my age rolls a lot, they're going to go rolling, 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 and then I would stop and swing my sword and go, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, his name is Fred.
I'm really racking my brain here.
Durst.
Oh.
Yeah, you were trying to be clever. It's not clever. It's stupid.
No, I just I missed that specific point of pop culture.
Oh. So yeah, but I realized I don't know him well enough to just call him Fred, so I'm calling him by his full name, Frederico. Rolling, 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 rolling. Yeah. So yeah. But like I said, you wander around, you get very far away, and I'm like, oh God, I don't want to die. and then you find a place to save, and you go, oh, and then you keep going very far away, and eventually you find a path that loops back around to a place you recognize, and you go, oh, shortcut, yes. And I've heard people talk about like the world design of the first Dark Souls and Bloodborne
Yeah.
forever, and how it's a character itself and all that crap, which no, it's not. But I get it now from playing Tunic, because it's the same thing. It's just in an isometric view instead of full 3D,
Uh-huh.
And every time I find a shortcut that loops back around to somewhere that I recognize, I go, oh, dude! Like, I get so excited. I'm like, okay, all right, I get it now, Dark Souls fans. Thanks, yeah. So yeah, in the first act, like for real boss that I ran into, like there were a couple of things that were early bosses, but in hindsight, they were not bosses. It killed me, I want to say 6 or 7, maybe 8 times, something like that. And it felt very much like what I've seen Dark Souls bosses do to people, where I would get greedy and try to get too many attacks in, and then I would get smashed, and I go, oh, right, okay. And I roll around and dodge attacks, and then roll in and get a swing, and then try to roll away, and I've used all my stamina, and I get smashed. I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, I'm getting it. So it's all things that I've seen people do in Dark Souls. I'm like, damn it, I'm gonna have to play Dark Souls at some point. Because I'm enjoying it when it's a cute little fox and an isometric thing, so I'll probably enjoy it when it's some sort of weird looking beef jerky guy in a gothic architecture type place or whatever. Oh, fine. Pretty sure I set that as a Patreon goal like ever ago, and then just never mentioned it again.
Yeah, could be.
So yeah, that's what I've been playing on stream lately. That and Vampire Survivors. Did I tell you about what I thought was the end of the Castlevania DLC? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
It was like in the way that you unlock things, there's an obvious path, a couple obvious paths. Like, you start with this character, and if you evolve their weapon, then you get this character, and if you last, a certain amount of time with that character, you get this character, and whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing that's going to unlock is Richter Belmont. And then there's a thing in the unlocks that says survive the encounter in the throne room with Richter. And I'd been to the throne room, and there's nothing there. It's just super hard enemies that swarm you, and then you have to run away and leave, because unless you're super overpowered, because they're like bosses, but there's freaking hundreds of them. So I was like, I guess something different happens when I take Richter in there. So I took Richter in there, and something, in fact, different did happen. I don't want to spoil it just in case, because it was amazing. It was so amazing. And then that unlocked another character. And then it showed me like 20 new characters to unlock. And I was like, huh? So what I thought was the end point was the midpoint.
That's great.
I mean, on one hand, yeah. On the other hand, Jesus Christ, I thought it was done. Like, so yeah, I'm gonna get back to that soon. But
are the characters materially different from each other?
Not really. Like, they all have a different starting weapon,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them have different stats and whatnot, and abilities. For the Castlevania ones, especially, they have different abilities. Like.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, I'm trying to think. Okay, like the guy, Hector. He's from the second 3D game on the PS2.
Okay.
He is you didn't watch the Netflix show, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so Hector, I think it's Hector, pretty sure. Hector is a forge master, which means he can make creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And so he has an ability when you hit, I think it's every 10 levels, up to level, I don't know, 30 or 50 or something, you get a free random familiar who follows you around and throws out attacks. So essentially you get bonus damage.
Neat.
And it fits in with him because he's a forge master. That's what he does.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's all kind of small because the characters, I'm not going to say they're completely interchangeable, but, once you get past the first few minutes of any given run, they're pretty much interchangeable.
Okay.
But all of their weapons are right for each character. And, like, all of the characters from the original, like that animated GIF I showed you of all of the different Castlevania characters, that was the first batch. And those are all the main characters. The main character, the playable characters from all the games. Or a bunch of the games. And then they go into, like, one of the new characters you could unlock is Reinhard Schneider, who is the main character from Castlevania 64. And then you can unlock Carrie something, who is the other playable character for that. And then there was a follow-up to Castlevania 64. I forget what it's called, but the main character there is a werewolf, and so you can unlock him. And then there's the merchant from Portrait of Ruin. Huh? Okay, sure. And then Leon's wife from the first PS2 game. When she... What's her... I think when she dies or uses a revive, she evolves the alchemy whip.
Oh, neat.
Which is hilarious because Leon, her husband, it's the first game in Castlevania canon, as far as I know. Leon has the powerful alchemy whip, and then in order to defeat Dracula, they have to use some sort of ritual to turn it into the vampire killer, and they end up doing that by sacrificing his wife. Because I think she got bitten by Dracula or something. I don't remember the specifics, but she is the catalyst, the sacrifice they use to turn the alchemy whip into the vampire killer. So the fact that when she uses a revive, she evolves the alchemy whip into the vampire killer. And I was like, like it's little things like that.
Yeah.
And off stream, I finally finished going through all the unlocks and whatnot for the Contra DLC, which is nowhere near as big and ridiculous as the Castlevania one.
Yeah.
But it's got a bunch of...
It's got a red guy and blue guy.
Yeah, they're the first two. You unlock Bill and Lance. Actually, on Odds and Ends I just posted, I was telling you all about that. I was like, I unlocked Bill and Lance, and that's all that matters. But I finished unlocking all the stuff for that. I want to do a new series on Hitman. A new challenge idea that I don't want to say I came up with it because, there's only so much you can do in any given game. But it's a thing I came up with for me to do myself. Where I want to try to do Silent Assassin suit-only runs in every level, but taking in nothing. Like my standard loadout is a pistol, a silenced pistol, and a lockpick, and coins to distract people.
Okay.
And I want to try taking in nothing and do Silent Assassin suit only. Because, like, the silenced pistols let you distract guards or take out cameras. The lockpick lets you, I'm sure you can figure that one out. You're a smart boy.
Right. I would guess.
And none of that is necessary But that's just the way that I always go in if I'm going to try to silent assassin suit only. Unless I know that, you know, oh, there's like 5 coins, like right over there. I can just go get those so I can bring in some poison or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to try naked silent assassin suit only. So silent assassin, for those of you that don't know, is where you only kill your targets and no bodies are found. So like if you knock someone out, you have to stash their body somewhere where they won't be found. And if you and you can't kill anybody else, and no one can find your target's bodies either, unless it's an accident kill, in which case then that's fine. For some reason, if you drown someone in a turlet, that's considered an accident kill. So when their bodyguard comes in and finds their dead body, it pops up, body found. But because it was an accident kill, you don't lose your silent assassin, which is a little weird, but you know, whatever. Oops, they accidentally drowned in the turlet like so many do.
Yeah, you think they start putting railings around those things or something.
Right? But, and suit only means you don't engage with the primary mechanic of stealth in Hitman, which is changing your outfit.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay.
you put on a guard outfit so that you're allowed to walk around in this area where, you know, guards are allowed, but the general public isn't. That sort of thing.
Okay.
And silent assassin suit only it's as far as, you know, the way I play is concerned, it's the ultimate challenge. Like,
Yes.
you're trying to be very smooth and very stealthy and very skillful without having to, you know, change your outfit.
Mhm.
And some of them are extremely stressful. I was, again, on an odds and ends I just posted, I was talking about how I wandered around on the Isle of Scale for like 30 minutes trying to figure out how to even start it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I eventually did do a silent assassin suit only on the Isle of Scale, but I remember it took me like an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
Like, it is brutal on some levels. But even then I had, you know, my pistol and a lockpick, and I really want to try it without any of that. So that's a new thing I'm probably going to stream every once in a while, is naked SASO. Ooh, and I discovered an old game I hadn't played in several years
Oh, yeah?
that I remembered really liking, so I reinstalled it, and I started playing again. It's called Forced, Showdown. So there was an old game called Forced, made by whoever these people are. That Beta Dwarf. Yeah, there we go. They made Forced, and then they made Forced Showdown, and then they made Minion Masters.
Mm-hmm.
And Minion Masters is... You remember that Magic game on phones that wasn't a card game? It was like a weird type of MOBA. I can never remember what it's called.
I don't know.
I don't either, but Minion Masters, I kept referring to that, oh, this is Minion Masters wearing magic pants. Because you have like a mana bar that builds up over time. And so more powerful minions that you can drop into the level are more expensive, so it takes longer for the mana bar to build up there. And it's all in real time. And that's what I think they're still releasing content for that. Like, that's the thing that they've landed on. But Forced Showdown is a combination of, oh god, how do you describe? It's like it's a roguelike. It's a deck builder, but it's also like a top-down dungeon crawler.
Okay.
So there are 5 or 6 different characters to play as, and you build a deck of spells and upgrades for your character and consumable items that your character can use. You know, like bombs. You know, when you use this, it deals 100 damage to a random enemy. and it's all a big TV show.
Okay.
And you have to go through different arenas and clear all the enemies out, and then you'll go to the next one. And every arena you get one more mana. So you start with 1 mana on the first arena, and it goes up to I think 8. I think there's 8 arenas in each one, maybe 9. I can't remember because I don't count. I'm busy playing.
Yeah.
And so you can, like, one of the characters, the one I've been using the most lately, is called the Squire of Light. Each character has abilities. So he's got Overcharge, which goes boom. It's just an area explosion around your guy.
Mm-hmm.
His regular attack is a beam of light that holds out, and he holds out, and it gets more intense the longer you hold it, until at the end of it goes blah. It has like a final burst. And then he's got an ability that shields him from damage for some amount of time. So it's very Diablo-y. Like scaled back Diablo-y, but Diablo-y, you know, your abilities have a cooldown, and you've got your basic attack. And you can spend your mana every arena on upgrades. And then when you get to the last arena, there's a boss, and you fight the boss, and then it boots you back to the TV station, the show, essentially, where you pick another arena to go into. And you get, like, you lose all your upgrades and whatnot because that was for that arena only. But
Right.
You acquire points while you're going, and that gets you incremental upgrades that last for the entire episode, I guess. Battle, I think, is the proper term, but no, battle is just the 10 or the 8 or so arenas. That's a battle. I don't think the full thing has an episode, has a word. So, like, if you accrue enough points from killing enemies and whatnot, then it'll give you like 3 or 4 options for an upgrade. You know, you can get like, plus 8% damage, or you take slightly less damage, or you get an extra mana on your first turn, or you draw an extra card after you mulligan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you pick one of those, and then you do another one. And eventually you'll go to the final one with the big boss to beat the whole thing.
Okay.
And it's a lot of fun. It scratches several itches. Like I said, it's a top-down dungeon crawler, essentially. It's simplified, but still, you know, the enemies have patterns and attacks that you'll grow to recognize the more you play. And all your abilities are on cooldown, and then you can upgrade your abilities. Like, my favorite... Excuse me. Like, my favorite upgrade for the Squire of Light is the Overcharge AoE attack that booms around you.
Uh-huh.
You can play an upgrade that will give that a second boom after a couple seconds.
Oh, cool.
Which is ridiculous. So there's the Squire of Light, who is that guy. There's Volko, who has a big-ass hammer and has, like, lava, think, oh no, the guy from Magic that you built the deck around. What's his name? With the rocks?
With
The red planeswalker?
Oh, Koth.
Koth. I'm just like, not Karn. It starts with a K. I can't remember it. Yeah, it's think Koth, but with a hammer.
Okay, cool.
And then there's like a Space Marine who has a long range rifle. And my favorite upgrade for her is she's got an ability that, like, shoots her up off of the stage, and you get a little targeting reticle, and then you land and deal heavy damage.
Mm-hmm.
And the upgrade that I absolutely love for her shoots off 5 homing rockets when you use that. So you shoot up off the screen, stuff dies, and then you land. And, like, yeah. So
That's funny.
But yeah, it's not like the best game ever or anything, obviously, because no one's ever heard of it. But I really remembered enjoying it, you know, when I played it before. And I was like, oh, let me reinstall this and poke around in it. And yeah, it's really fun. So that's what I've been playing while I listen through the odds and ends.
Oh, cool.
Because you get, like, the more bosses you beat, the more gold you get.
Yeah.
And then you use gold to unlock new cards.
Right.
And when you can only have 2 of any given card. So, of course, when you open a card that you already have 2 of, you get some currency. They're called shards that you then use to craft a random card of any given rarity. So there's essentially common, uncommon, and rare. And I still don't have all the cards, so every time I finish a run, I take my gold and I go spin for cards. And I'm like, all right, thank you. And I'm still trying to save up to get enough shards to craft a random Supreme card. That's what's called Supreme instead of rare. Okay. But whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all single player, so there's no stress to try to have the best cards right now. Like, it's just, oh, I got an extra, I got 300 gold from that run. Cool, I'll go get 3 new cards. Might get more. Might not. Whatever. But because it's all single player, I don't have that, oh my god, I can't get the cards fast enough, because it doesn't matter. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, I've been digging it. Like it reminds me, because it's a roguelite, which is one of my favorite things, where there's like if you die, you lose all your progress, but you're getting either currency or new cards or something that will make, future progress slightly easier.
Yeah.
And I'm beginning to learn, like, the various bosses. I'm beginning to learn their attacks. There's an achievement that's like, it said, beat a boss without taking any damage. And I know for a fact, beat a boss without taking damage. I know for a fact that on a run I did last night, I beat one of the bosses and did not take any damage, and the damn achievement didn't pop. And I was like, I'm beginning to think it might mean the big boss at the end of each thing, rather than at the end of the big thing, instead of the regular bosses.
That makes sense. For it to be an achievement in and of itself.
Because I was like, damn it, I know I did that. Because I was very careful. I made sure that my my shield that protects me for a certain amount of time was off cooldown, and didn't use it just for damage, because I had the upgrade that when it goes away you get an extra overcharge. Like, I wasn't using it for that. I was only using it to block damage, and my health was full at the end, and I was like, yeah, yeah, God, what? Like. But anyway. But yeah, for anyone that is interested, it's called Forced Showdown. They don't really support it anymore. Like, there were daily quests and whatnot or something, but that's okay. I'm slowly learning, like, what each character wants. Like the Space Marine chick with the with the rifle, attack speed is choice on her.
Okay.
Because instead of bup, it's bup, 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 bup. I'm like, yes! So, yeah. So the Squire is the, like, middle range guy. Volko with the hammer is a melee dude. There's another one called Ravager, who sort of reminds me of the Arbiter from Halo in his design. And he's a melee dude. The Space Marine chick is a long range character. And then there's someone with a bow and arrow called Stormbringer that I don't remember. I haven't played as him again since I started playing again. Ow! Excuse me, I just slammed my knuckles into my desk. I seem to remember not liking the way Stormbringer played, but I can't remember. But anyway, yeah. Said it's a nice low stress. Well, okay, in the long run, it's low stress. Like I said, there's not I gotta get all these cards, gotta get them now, gotta grind.
Right.
Like there's not any of that. It is very stressful moment to moment, but in the long run, you know, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I've been doing.
That sounds good. I'm glad you've rediscovered that game again.
Yeah, I reinstalled several like older games that I never like finished with, like Plague Inc. Last time I played Plague Inc. was 2019. Can't imagine what would have stopped me from reinstalling it and playing it since then. But I was like, oh man, I never finished with this. There was a vampire virus and a like Planet of the Apes style. I don't think it was a monkey virus, but I think it was like intelligent apes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I never did that either. Oh, I gotta reinstall that. And I've been playing a lot. I'm happy to say, of this little arcade game called Handsome Mr. Frog. That a listener was working for the developer, I think, or with the developer or something. Cowboy Color. And was like, hey, you're a streamer. You want to play this? And I was like, sure. So they sent me a copy, and I played it on stream a couple times. And it's just a very simple, like, arcade, like, old school arcade game. But it's so much fun. Like, you are handsome Mr. Frog.
Yeah.
And enemies come at you, and you shoot your tongue out and suck them up. And then you spit them back at other enemies to take them all out. And that's it. Like, it's very basic. There are score things that'll come up in bubbles somewhere. There's usually a box on the screen for you to spit at enemies. Or an ice block or a tombstone, you know, depending on what level you're on.
Right.
And that's it. It's very basic, but it's a lot of fun. So I'm playing that a little bit too. Handsome Mr. Frog. And he is quite handsome. Yeah. What you been up to? I've been talking this whole time, ever since Brian left.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, basically. So, I guess, let's see. So there was Thanksgiving week. Spent a lot of time with family there. The week before, went out of town to also visit family. Went to stay and visit with my aunt. Up in the mountains for a few days, and there was also a special like Christmas market thing on Main Street in town that we wanted to check out because we heard it was really good the year before and the year before that, and it was really good. There was a lot of vendors and whatnot out there who had interesting things, but yeah, besides that, just trying to keep track of work. And Ashley's sister is actually staying with us for a little while she takes care of some business here before moving on to the next thing. She got a job in a different place, so she's not in Hawaii anymore. Trying to think.
She's nice. I liked her.
Yeah. Yeah, not a lot besides that. It's like we've kept up with Taskmaster. We've kept up with.
I finally started
Right.
watching Taskmaster again.
Oh, good.
I'm on series 4, 5.
Okay.
It's got Russell Howard in it. It's one of
Russell
the
Howard.
very early ones.
Okay, yeah.
Because
I
I
don't
got
remember
real into it for the first, I think, 3 or
Mhm.
4 series, and then I got distracted and just forgot about it. And a couple nights ago, I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh man, I forgot about Taskmaster." Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going.
Yeah, we've been keeping up with Taskmaster. We just finished this most recent season of the British baking show. Followed Dancing with the Stars. Yeah, mostly watching stuff. It's hard to. But besides that, in terms of games, I've just been like playing Arena on my phone and playing this. It's called Super Snail. This little time-wasty activity game on my phone as well.
Wait a minute, that sounds familiar.
You've probably seen ads for it. I remember there were ads all over my other apps for a while before I decided to check it out for myself.
Nope, never mind. Do not recognize this at all. He's cute though.
He is. And now you have the option of also starting a character as a bird. But I
Lame.
was like, I am not. I do not feel like having 2 different characters in this game. That will take a lot of my time.
Right?
So I'm just a snail still.
Oh my god, when you said been playing Arena, my brain went Arena completed, because every time you finish one of the arenas,
Mhm.
the announcer guy has to say it. Sometimes it's like Arena completed, and other times he's like Arena completed, like a little jaunty little dance, and that's the one that my brain hears and goes ah, stop. Because it's all sing-songy and makes me want to stab him. Anyway. All right, then.
Yeah, that's it. I think like both Ashley and I have noticed that it's like, we don't do a lot of the little things that we used to do all the time. We need to make a concerted effort. We need to make it a point. We need to like schedule, like, okay, I'm actually going to do the things, like the enriching things and entertaining things that I know I enjoy doing, instead of just, watching TV and dicking around on my phone or whatever.
Yeah. That's why I have been making a concentrated effort to like play video games off stream for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was spending way too much time just like watching random crap on YouTube, or
Right.
I gotta pick up my phone and like, oh, let me check the various social medias, and then like 2 hours have passed and I'm like, what am I doing with my life?
Oh yeah, that's the most killer thing for me. I'd open up Facebook and end up just scrolling, looking at stupid stuff for who knows how long, for no reason. It's like, it's not even particularly entertaining. It's just I'm just sitting there doing it.
Yeah. It is a problem. I've been not so much dropping hints as dropping like full-on nukes to the parents that, hey, buy me a Steam Deck for Christmas.
Uh-huh.
And I'm really hoping that works, because then I can go back to, like, all I have to do is get a dock,
Yeah.
and I can go back to playing video games on the television like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
And since Renee is also a gamer, like, we can sit out there and either play games or, you know, pass it off, like, or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Because her undiagnosed ADHD makes trying to watch a 45-minute show with her just a god-awful inconvenience.
Uh-huh.
Because we'll be sitting there watching a show, and next thing I know, she'll just get up and walk away. And I'm like, what? Pause. Where are you going? That's why we've been watching so much of Paranormal Caught on Camera. Because if it doesn't matter if one of us gets up and walks away.
It doesn't matter. Uh-huh.
But, like, it's been so long since we watched an episode of Doom Patrol that it's not on continue watching on Max anymore. I just noticed that today. It was there a couple days ago. It is not now. And I don't know how long it takes for something to fall off of continue watching, but it's been that long.
Wow.
I'm hoping once she actually, you know, moves in all the way and lives here, we'll be able to actually, you know, watch the shows together. But if not, I want to go back to, you know, like me and Scott used to do. One of us would be playing a game, the other one would be sitting there with him, either commentating or giggling or doing something else, but together, you know, what's it called? Parallel play.
Yes.
So, yeah. That's the hope. Because I have way too many games to play before I die. And the only place I can currently play them all is right here. And this is where I work. Like, it's not as bad as when the computer was in the bedroom. And the difference between work and sleep was, you know, 7 feet.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's been a long time, but, you know, that was kind of rough. Work-life balance was all screwed up. But, you know, when it's here, I can sit here and, like, work on stuff and then flip over and play games. I did it today. I got through, I think, 3 odds and ends.
Yeah.
And looked at the time and went, I'm just going to play games for a bit before I go dash. And so that's what I did. I stopped with the listening to odds and ends and just kept playing Forced Showdown.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice. But I really want to, like, I want to get into the Yakuza games, but I don't want to stream them, I don't think. Because they're too big and huge, and, you know, they'll be my entire life if I start streaming them.
Yeah.
But I really want to play them because I'm 100% certain that I will absolutely fall into them and love them. But I don't want to do that here. Because I spend enough time in this chair.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, yeah. And I can't afford a Steam Deck, or I'd have had one like 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I've been dropping that hint pretty hard. Mom even asked, is it on sale by chance for Cyber Monday? I'm like, or Black Friday? And I'm like, oh, let me look. And the cheapest model they had available, which was from the old LCD version before the OLED version, was on sale. And that was it. I was like, that's not even a sale. That's just trying to get rid of your old stock. Bitch. Yeah, but anyway. Been trying to get back to doing the thing that has been my main hobby throughout my entire life.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot better at it this year.
Well, that's good to hear.
But it's still not where I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, a Steam Deck will fix that, because then I can just go play in the living room. It's like, I don't even want a handheld. Like if they made a Steam Deck without a screen, I would want that because I don't care. I'm not gonna take it anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't have a commute. Like the commute is the job for me. So like I'm not on the train for 45 minutes a day. So the handheld part of it won't do anything for me. But getting a dock and plugging into the TV, that'll be great. I even snatched a couple of games off of my charity giveaway sheet because they're of a type Renee likes. So I went ahead. I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna take these," and I redeemed the codes myself. So they're in my Steam library now. So that when that happens, Renee, I have at least a few games that I know Renee would like. I mean, I'm sure she can find all kinds of stuff that she would want to play in my Steam library, but a couple specifically for her.
Yeah.
She's into the like management sim games, which sounds really boring, but like Roller Coaster Tycoon, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And 2 Point Hospital and 2 Point Campus were on my spreadsheet. I was like, "Hey, do you have any interest in these?" She's like, "I don't know what those are." It's like they're like a goofy, like Roller Coaster Tycoon type thing, but for a hospital and a campus. She's like, "Ooh." I was like, "Okay, yep." Add to library. It's nice to be making plans to spend a lot of future time with one person.
Yeah, it is.
Said I've never wanted anyone to move in with me. Like I let Scott move in with me because he needed to and because I love Scott. But like that was not my idea. And I've never dated anyone where I'm like, "You should live with me." I'm like, no, no. That thought has literally never crossed my mind. So the fact that I've been trying to get Renee to move in with me for freaking ever now, and she's working on it, is so nice. Like she left to go get more boxes of stuff and take them to the storage unit.
Okay, great.
So yeah, it's been nice to have this plan and be making, not necessarily making plans, but doing things in anticipation of having her live here with me.
Yeah.
Feels good, man. Yeah. But anyway, well, I guess this 2-hour-long odds and ends has probably gone on long enough.
Probably.
So I guess we'll stop there. So let me just remind everybody. I should probably start doing this at the beginning. Hey, there's patreon.com/themanapool. You can follow me on. I'm probably going to maybe not delete my Twitter account, but I'm going to delete all my tweets and just leave that there as a placeholder. Because Twitter is a cesspool, and with Elon having access to the White House, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
And also,
We'll see how long that lasts.
I think my quality of life has gone up because I know things are going to be so bad in the near future. I've stopped paying attention.
Yeah, you can kind of stop worrying at a certain point.
Yeah, like there's nothing I can do anymore. Everything's going to suck. And in this case, like forewarned isn't even forearmed. Like there's just Trump's going to destroy the government, and okay. I did all I could to warn people about it, and it didn't work. So, well, piss. So I've just stopped. Like I very rarely open Twitter at all anymore. I will still open up BlueSky. By the way, you should follow me on BlueSky. It's themanapool.bsky.social. The thing everyone starts with. Yeah. if you're on BlueSky, and if you're not on BlueSky, hey, you should come to BlueSky. It's nice. It's like Twitter used to be. Huh. But yeah, you should also join the Discord if you haven't, because we have lots of good conversating going on in there. But anyway, yeah, like I said, I've just stopped paying attention to what's going on in the wider world. And yeah, there's a reason ignorance is bliss is a thing. Like whenever I call the parents, the old man's like, "Did you see something, something, something?" I'm like, "I did not." He's like, "Let me tell you about it." I'm like, "If you gotta." And then I go, "Oh, Jesus." Oh, well. And that's where it stops. I'm not freaking out anymore. I'm not stressing about it. It's been very nice.
Good.
And I highly recommend to everyone, just unplug for a bit. For your own safety, for your own health.
Yeah.
Because also, it's called doom scrolling for a reason. I've been saying all this while I wait on... What is going on with Patreon? Oh, there it goes. Okay. It's like I'm trying to get this thing to load so I can read off the lifeguards, but it hasn't loaded. So, patreon.com/themanapool. Don't forget, there's a whole lot of new odds and ends going up. That's the before and after stuff, before the shows. Before the numbered shows, not the just chatting, because just chatting is odds and ends, so... I think all of us, except for Brian, who doesn't normally swear, I think both of us sort of forgot that we weren't doing odds and ends and this was a show. But I'm not going to edit it. So, ha ha. So let me thank our mythic lifeguards in, I don't know, this order. Violet Moon, Al, Timu, Hellas Haru, Scuzzo, Michael, who? Andrew Odie, Jason Kaus, Casey, Jake Jansons, Jason Doan, Kim Ho, and ALK Alters. I've got to thank him. He sent... At some point, I'm really bad about checking the mail, because I don't get mail that matters. It's all junk mail and bills I pay online. So I checked the mail after, like, I don't know, 2 months, and there was a package from ALK Alters that had some cards in it. And I was like, oh! Oh! Huh. So I need to remember to thank him for that. Because they're pretty cool. As always. By the way, you should follow him on the various social medias. Because he's a pretty cool guy. Isn't he, Mike? Mike fell asleep.
I think that may be happening.
Yeah. Mike's actually played Magic with him. I don't think I have.
Yeah, I missed the name. The name you said. What name did you say?
Oh, ALK Alters.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly when that was.
I can't remember his real name, which bother, because he's been ALK Alters for so long that
Right.
it's driven his real name out of my brain. Which I probably wouldn't say here anyway, but still. But alright then, so this has been an episode of Dorks Just Chatting with 3/4 and then 1/2 of the Dorks. Let us know what you think about Tunic or Force Showdown or showing your kids hardcore porn. No, not that part. Yeah, what got you as a kid? What disturbed you? All that good stuff. Let us know. Probably in the Discord, because that's where, we're most likely to see it. Well, I am anyway. But all right, with that, we will be done now. So, thank you all so very much for joining us. Hope you all have a fabulous period of time until you hear from us again. And, arena completed.